There is nothing you can think of doing, achieving, getting, or having that will ever make you happy. I had always been curious, like, what's going on? What is this thing, life? Like, is there a purpose, or what's my purpose? But what I found was
Dominic Scaffidi is a master certified coach
and has been awarded 4 prestigious ICF Prism Awards.
He has trained and coached hundreds of senior leaders and teams across a variety of leading-edge global organizations.
He helps them uncover their true nature and deepen their understanding of reality.
there is no assertion in the universe. There is nothing that comes at you from outside of you. Everything you experience comes from within you and expands. There is no relationship, there is no work you do that was not birthed in thought. It is the beginning of all creation. Thoughts become things.
It's just crazy to think how, from the very beginning, we've just been conditioned to play the wrong game. I know you're a very busy man, have a lot going on to just shape people's lives. Just the work that you do is so phenomenal.
Oh, well, we all do. We all do.
Yeah.
Some of us are conscious of it more than others, but we're all
Yeah.
making a difference and having an impact.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into some of this stuff with you because there's so much to uncover and just extract from this conversation and learn from you, of course. And I mean, it's interesting because you obviously seem to have achieved something that many people don't in their lifetimes, which is like, just a sense of contentment and being in sync with the flow of life, right? I would say that. So, what principles have enabled you to make that happen?
Let's see. So first of all, you got to say that is never a permanent state, right? So what you can do, what in my experience is through more and more understanding, you find yourself more in the flow or alignment of life, of truth, of what's happening, which is which is a much better place than finding yourself in opposition to it, in fighting,
Oh.
the way things unfold, or the way what I say is like what I'm doing and sort of in my work and teaching or coaching and sharing is that we're interested in understanding more deeply who we really are, our true nature, and the nature of reality, which in a way is all one thing. But who I really am, my true nature, and the nature of reality. The more deeply you understand that, the more you are alive in harmony with the truth of who you really are, your true nature, the nature of reality. That is a very smooth and harmonious existence, let's say. The more misunderstanding you have about that, it's bumpier. It's just like rougher. It's more frustrating. It's just, yeah.
That's really well put because I don't think many of us realize what it takes to understand the true nature of who we are and how that can be a complete game changer for how our lives turn out. So, at what point in your life did you start to realize this for yourself?
Well, the earliest sort of, massive insight would have been in my late 20s. And it was through the work of Werner Erhard, the Landmark Forum, the work of Werner Erhard. And that I had always been curious about what's going on? What is this thing, life? Like, is there a purpose, or what's my purpose? And sometimes I'm happy and sometimes I'm not. So what are you supposed to do here? And how are you supposed to get happy? Is there some way to optimize this or something?
Yeah.
And it was in my 20s, and I had by that point sort of achieved many things. Like I thought it's about um, this is about being successful. It's about,
In the conventional sense, whatever success meant.
yes, it's about getting what you want, having a good career, making money, like these kinds of things, beginning to acquire things, wealth, whatever. But what I found was that I actually had this experience of achievements, which were amazing, right? Like, I mean, I really wanted a particular, career and job, and I got it. And, when I got the offer and got the position, and then that kind of dissipated a bit. And then it's like, oh, it's really about a promotion. You get a promotion, right? Then that's like a whole other level.
The hedonic treadmill. Yeah, stuck on that.
And so that's what was happening, was like this. It's a promotion. Oh, you know what? It's not really about that. It's like, if you buy a house, then you'll be okay. You've got it made, and then
It goes on and on.
what this other thing? It's like, and so at that time there came this realization in there, which was kind of a very negative, depressing realization of this isn't it. Like, this isn't the path. This is not. And so, and it kind of occurred to me, in the actual sort of realization was, you will never figure this out. There is nothing you can think of that will make you happy. There is nothing you can think of doing, achieving, getting, or having that will ever make you happy. And this wasn't just like, I don't know, this wasn't just like some random thought. It was a realization that is true. You will not ever be able to think of anything. You cannot construct a satisfying, happy, joyful life. You can't do it. You can't think it up. And that was like a very negative thing. It was kind of like this, like, well, what's the use of all this? It's kind of like, I could see like, okay, well, I hadn't figured it out. That's fine. So maybe it's not about money. Maybe it's not about this and that, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure out what it's about. And then this thing came that it's like, no, you won't. You can't figure this out. You will never come to the conclusion of what that is. So, and it was interesting, because that's kind of like what I went into this, the Werner Erhard and Landmark, and that kind of went into this weekend with that. And I had this incredible realization at that time, that, came out of nowhere and it doesn't relate to anything, but it was just a waking up and realizing of, I am happy. It's like there's just happiness, and I am that. Someone might say I am joy, right? And it was unusual, because later a friend of mine I was talking to a friend of mine. Now, I didn't have words for any of this. It was just this elated feeling, like this blissful feeling. And later I'm talking to a friend of mine and he said, "Oh, that sounds like it was really good. Sounds like it was a fantastic, weekend for you. It sounds like you've achieved a much higher level of happiness." And then when he said that, I go, "No, that doesn't sound right." He said, "What do you mean? You seem happier. This seems like you've achieved a higher level of happiness." And I go, "I don't know, but that doesn't sound right. I'm not sure why it doesn't sound right, but it doesn't sound right." And so we
Right.
were having coffee. I kind of went home and the whole bit. And on my drive home, it clicked. I'm like, "Oh my God, what he just said is the same treadmill I was on before." What he
Pretty
said
much.
is, "Oh, you've achieved a higher level of happiness." No, that's what I was doing before. I was at a higher level of happiness and a higher level of happiness. This is completely different. This is, and these are the words I said to him, which shocked me as I said it. So I kind of got home and I called him. Said, "Hey, remember, you were telling me about this," and I said, "That isn't exactly it." And I figured out why. I said, "Because what I see has happened to me is a realization that I am happy, and a realization that I will never be happier than I am right now." And
I'm sensing presence in that statement, embracing presence. Yeah.
well, when I said it, I had no idea what that even meant. I'm like, "What the hell did I just say?" Right? Like,
Damn.
what kind of a comment is that? And then his reaction was, "Well, that's terrible." He goes, "What? That's terrible.
That's so funny.
What are you saying?" I said, I don't know, but I'm telling you, it's clear to me that this is it. I will never be happier than I am right now. And all of that other stuff was missing it. It's like missing the point.
Mm, clearly. It's just crazy to think how from the very beginning we've just been conditioned to play the wrong game. And we keep getting stuck in that because we haven't trained ourselves or just like inspired ourselves to think outside of that box or the frame of reference that we're so addicted to. Like, what takes to be happy or, happier, like your friend articulated. It's crazy. And you also had a pretty early encounter with Abraham Hicks then. I'm guessing that was a bit life changing.
So that was a few years, let's say decades later, actually, and that was timed at a point where uh, I had then gone on from this. See, here's the difference from this place of happiness. What I saw life was about, because one of the things he said, "Well, this is terrible. If that's how you feel, then what's the use of living? Because if you're never going to be happier than you are right now, then why bother, right? Like, what's the use of living?" And it's like you would have no motivation. You would have nothing, right? And what I said was, was clear to me is like, "Oh my gosh, no way." It's like I am even more excited to be alive than ever, because to be alive is to express and enjoy this, right? That's what it's about. It's not to get this. It's to be alive. And so I said, I'm excited about what I'm going to do in my career. I'm excited about getting into a relationship. I'm excited about where I'll live. I'm like so excited about all these things that will be an experience of this. There'll just be an experience of it. None of them will give me this. They will all be ways of, it's like art. It's like painting it or living it. It's just a way of that. And so I went on like over the next number of years, my career went well, and lots of promotions, did well financially in many ways. And then I was at a point where, in the last role that I held, a corporate role, I was in organizations, and then there was a downsizing, and my role was eliminated. And so that point coincided with my discovery of the teachings of Abraham. Because
Cool.
what would have happened would have been, oh, okay, well, that's shut. Now I've got to create something else. And it was what I came to at the time was about coaching and being self-employed rather than a corporate career. But I would have approached it in an achievement style. Like I would have approached it in a way of achieving the next thing. And what I discovered with the teachings of Abraham Hicks is about what it is to allow creation rather than to achieve creation. We can never achieve anything miraculous. We will never achieve anything breakthrough. It can only be allowed. And so this was what I discovered in that. And it counters every sort of typical if you're going to do anything worthwhile, then you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to do it. And it's going to take some sacrifice. And turns out that is actually opposite to how it really works. That's what will put you into resistance of what you want. And that to really achieve dreams, and dreams is a great metaphor. You can't achieve a dream. You allow a dream to unfold. You're not like achieving it. You're not constructing it. You're not thinking it up. You're allowing that to unfold. So
let's just take a minute to maybe deconstruct this difference between allowing versus achieving. How does it actually look from like a more practical perspective, if that makes sense?
The achievement is a very, let's call it physical understanding of creation. For me to build a business, for me to get clients, it is a understanding of a physical reality, which in a way, here's the funny thing, in a way is like, well, yeah, it better be a physical reality because I want physical clients and I want physical money, right? Like I want the real stuff, right?
Sure thing.
Right. So then this is where, from a misunderstanding of who you really are, your true nature and the nature of reality, you will be misguided. And so what I mean by that is, I'm this physical being who wants more money, clients, a business. And so then how to achieve that is by action. By action. By what you do. But here's the thing, and it's an Abraham quote, is that your action is puny and almost unrequired in creation. It is the most you could do with your action. This is powerful. The most you could do with action is to move about that which has already been created. There is no creation. You can shuffle around what's already been created. That's not what creates. Action is not the creator. This gets very paradoxical. There is every creation will have action. So it's
Exactly.
paradoxical. There is no physical creation without action involved. Action is not the creator. Um, I what they're pointing to is more of an energy and a spirit, which I later understood even better with the teachings of Sydney Banks that came up a few years later. That took me into an even deeper understanding of all of it. But you could say that, well, from a level of understanding, that all things that are manifest, which we could say are physical and experienced, all things are expressions of a deeper essence. They are expressions of spirit. So there is no reality. There is no reality and no experience which is not an expression of spirit. So when it comes to true cause, the true source of me, this mug, anything, it is an energy expressing into that form. Right? And that's where creation actually happens. And so you did not come to create with your action. You did not come to create with your action. You came to create with your mind. That is where creation happens.
Yeah, this is where actually I was quite keen to discover and explore more of this groundbreaking idea of yours that creation does not happen with action but with thought. And you just mentioned that it's all with the mind. That's where the magic begins. So you think and then you create through action because you said creation inevitably, although not directly, but does involve action because you can't just think and make it happen. Is that correct?
So very good. Action ensues, action occurs, but its action is allowed rather than resisted. So this is the so there is not one single thing in your life that was not born as thought.
Sure.
There is no relationship, there is no work you do that was not birthed in thought. That was the beginning. It is the beginning of all creation. That thought moves you if it is allowed. So thoughts become things. The thoughts become the things in your life, if allowed. We are free beings, and we have the choice and ability to allow a thought to move us or to resist it. You are not a robot commanded by anything. You have the ability to allow something to move you, or you can resist it and choose not.
Sure. So, is this where you make this differentiation between divine thought versus personal thought?
Wow, that's a great. I only recently had an insight into divine thought. What because Sydney Banks is kind of where we've heard divine thought before, but Sydney Banks used it a lot. He would talk about divine thought versus personal thought. And to some degree, kind of like, well, thought is thought, right? That's one side. The other thing is the way my first thing when he said divine thought, I'm thinking, oh wow, that's like a thought of God. right? Like, so that's not for us to be concerned about. The divine thought is the thought of God. But my recent sort of insight into divine thought versus personal thought is that divine thought is unopposed.
Wow, I love that. I'm going to write that down.
Divine thought is unopposed. God never thinks a thought and opposes its own thinking. God never does that. So when God says, let there be light, God does not then go, oh my God, I hope this isn't hard to do. And I hope I've got enough resources to actually make it happen. God never then thinks a thought of doubt, of disbelief. When God says, let there be light, there is no thought in opposition to the thought of God.
But what if the thought is negative?
There is no possibility for negative thought from the mind of God, because by definition, that negates. A negative thought is a negation of something.
That makes sense.
God is only a creator, not a negator of anything. There's only creation. There is only God in infinite, eternal expression. More and more and more and more expression of what God is. What God is more and more expression. What God is like, but not that. But eliminate all that and not this and not this and not this, and then you'll see who God is. That's not the way it works.
So, as an example, something like I am limitless, would that be a divine thought?
So that is a true thought. Can you hold that thought through your personal mind and
Without
hold it
resistance.
without opposition? It's very difficult for us.
Wow.
That's very difficult for us to do that. So we so the thought here's the cool thing. So there's a thought which is truth, which is divine, and that could be like also like a thought of abundance. There is only abundance. There is only abundance, not the lack of anything, right? That's truth. So then I can't hold that thought without opposition, because the minute I start looking around, I go, yeah, but I don't have enough money for this, or I'm looking and people are starving, or it's hard to hold the thought. But this is where the question is so when I'm thinking, my personal thinking, and this will be kind of like lead to a very important thing here about feeling, because our guidance in a feeling, Sydney Banks talks about feeling, Abraham Hicks talks about feeling, right? So this is useful because the feeling is more important. It's kind of like what we are, what is guiding us more so than our thinking, right? But there is no feeling without thought. So there's not a feeling without thought. You cannot feel anything you are not thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot feel anything you are not thinking. You cannot experience anything you are not thinking. So the question is what you are thinking in harmony with the truth, with the divine? Are you in harmony with the truth of who you really are, your true nature, the nature of reality? If so, the feeling will be harmonious. It will feel good. If you think a lie, if you think something false, it will not feel so good.
Got it.
And there's
That's
the
pretty
guidance
clear.
in the feeling.
Yeah, because if I think about feeling jealousy, anger, envy, all these feelings rather, are just a construct of thought. Because the first is experienced here and then in the body, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What your body, and the body is so important because a lot of people are kind of like talking about, you need to be embodied or become embodied, get into your body, like all of that. Well, got news for you. You're never not in your body.
It's so funny.
So you're never actually not in your body because you don't really get that choice. Your soul is focused through this physical body, and you're not about to take yourself out of it because that soul and that consciousness is focused in this physical body. You are embodied. And so the thing is that every thought is an embodied thought. We could say that rather than talking about body, we probably should never use the word unless we say mind body. What there really is a mind body, is what there really is. Because a body without thought is actually a cadaver, it's a dead body. That's
True.
That's what that is. So a body without consciousness is a dead physical thing, right? So we should probably never refer to a body. We should only speak about mind body. So
Fair enough.
when you're thinking, you cannot think without also feeling. That thought is embodied and it is felt. And and so are you paying attention or not? Are you paying attention, or is your attention on this thought rather than all of the information? All of the information, the embodied information. So these thoughts of jealousy or thoughts of fear, right? Thoughts of fear. Well, what are you thinking? Well, I'm thinking this isn't going to work out for me. I'm thinking it might fail. Well, wait a minute. When you think about God and you are an aspect of God, do you think God is wondering whether that will work out? It's an infinite intelligence. It's an infinite intelligence that the moment you thought of your idea of a business, just like that, the unfolding of who's involved, when would you meet them, and how would it come together, this entire creation would happen in the same instant as you even thought of it. Where's the doubt? There is no doubt in the divine, right? So how do you, but I don't see any business here, which is all successful and all that. I know, but if you could stay aligned with the thought, it would move you action. It would move you into the expression and manifestation of the thought. It would move you into the full creation and manifestation of that. And that path would allow you to experience the thought. It would become a thing in your life, right? So
Yeah.
this is the
So, what do you think we've got wrong about the law of attraction?
they're silly. I mean, silly things are what's wrong. Or people who think it's Santa Claus or something. It's like, oh, the law of attraction. That's like, you close your eyes, you think of a big house or put a picture up somewhere, and then
Visualization.
And then it comes about. No, that's Santa Claus. That's not the law of attraction. You've got it mixed up, right? The law of attraction is such a simple thing. It's a universal law that's inviolable. You cannot violate. And basically it's a law of energy, a law of spirit. And all it says is, the way Abraham discerns it is that which is like unto itself is drawn. That's the way they say it. We could say like attracts like.
Yeah.
Today, the way I would describe is this is a description of the pure, perfect harmony of spirit. So on any thought, there is only that which harmonizes, nothing opposes. Otherwise, if there could be thought opposed, the universe would destruct. It would destroy if anything could oppose itself. But the law of attraction will never nothing can ever oppose. This is a universe only of attraction. It is a universe only of more drawn toward same. That's the only way it is. There is no assertion in the universe. There is nothing that comes at you from outside of you. Everything you experience comes from within you and expands.
So I guess that also explains the saying, what you resist persists. What you don't want, you also attract, because your focus is exactly on that.
Very well said. Precisely. What is attracted is what you're focused on. People,
Whether you want it or not. Yeah.
whether you want it or not, you get what you think about, whether you want it or not.
How do you filter all these thoughts? Like, what have you done in your life to filter these thoughts and intentionally make an effort to, I don't know, think better thoughts and be in line with divine thoughts and things like that?
Well, here's the thing. We have 24/7 guidance that is inescapable. We can't get away from it. And what I mean by that is that you are being lived and breathed by a spirit and an energy, which we might call your soul. Right? This isn't theoretical. It's like literally like that. There is an infinite intelligence and infinite meaning. Because it's energy, it's not like a divided energy. There's like that energy which is divided from this. It's all energy, right? So the Sydney Banks said, Sydney Banks said, mind, intelligence is the energy of all things. And he said that which some call God. It's the formless energy of all things. So it's an energy.
Yeah.
And then he said, you and me, he said, you are a microscopic aspect of that energy. So that's where now there's no division, right? It's like the wave, the ocean, the raindrop, right? It's no division. It's not divided. So that energy is there. Now that is the dominant energy in you. It is living you, breathing you. Without that energy, there'd be no aliveness or consciousness, right? So this is constant, never stops, never ceases, and is on. It's always on. Now you have lots of places you can focus. Focus here, focus there, focus. Oh my God, look at my bank account. There's not enough money in it. Oh no, what's going to happen next month? So you can take your thought anywhere you want. But what happens is the vibration or frequency of your thought, the reason you feel it is because it's juxtaposed with this constant true energy. So the minute you think a thought, what you're getting is the feeling of harmony or disharmony with the truth of you. The truth, the source of you. That's what you're feeling. So you can't get lost. Like, you can't get lost. You can't say, well, my parents told me some things and I've been believing them, or my friends tell me it's this way, or on social media, they all say that. It doesn't matter who says what. The only thing you're going to experience is what you are actually thinking. It doesn't matter what your parents said. What matters is that you think what they think. It doesn't matter what your friends think. It matters that you think what they think. That's what it is. And when you think what they think, you will feel the truth of it or the falseness of it. You will feel it. And you are free to continue thinking it or not.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, how do you guide people to move away from relying on commitment and discipline, especially in the corporate world? You work with so many companies, right? So, to move away from those principles to achieve their goals and instead approach or embrace a very um, relaxing approach where they just allow things to happen effortlessly and naturally.
Yeah. And we could say they allow things to happen according to their own focus, according to their intention. So that's important. We allow things to happen according to our focus and according to our intention, right? So when something is happening that you don't like, it's good to wonder where your focus is.
Yeah.
because nothing, this is where law of attraction clarifies. There's nothing happening to you. There is no assertion in this universe. There's only an invitation. You're only putting out invitation. There's nothing coming at you, nothing asserting itself, nothing attacking, right? You only put out invitation, and that invitation brings you more, right? Your invitation is by your focus. Give it attention and you will get more. Give it attention and you will get more, right? So in the corporate world, you could say that is how do you create what you want as an organization? It's the same rule of creation as exists for anybody, any being. How do you create what you want? You must focus on what you want. You must focus on what you want, and you must allow your desire to move you. You allow inspiration from that truth of you to move you. You allow that inspiration to unfold and create something. As long as you're physically focused, you will be moved. You're never going to be sitting still. You will be moved. And the question is, what is moving you? So if you're in an organization and those damn competitors have to be, fought, and you got to go against what they're doing so that you can, overcome or whatever. Well, your focus and attention is not on creating anything. And so you are feeding something which you do not want.
It's creating more opposition.
More opposition. You are creating an organization that opposes something, which is so distinct from creating an organization that is creating and expressing what your values and purpose and vision and desires are. You now have an organization of people engaged, and they are aligned to what? Are they aligned to purpose, intention, vision, and desire? Are they aligned to what you're contributing into the world? Or are they in reaction, in
Yeah, more
reaction and opposition to something. And can you imagine the financial implications of this?
huge.
You're paying a bunch of people to come into the office or, be involved in an organization opposing this thing that I do not want, opposing, and 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 it's funny because that is what you are expanding. By feeding attention in that direction, that's what you are expanding.
Fair enough. So, with all this stuff we've talked about, Dominic, divine thought and what it takes to really manifest your desires and your dreams, how would this apply to people who are in survival mode? How would you open their mind to possibilities when their environment is showing them otherwise all the time?
Yeah. Well, let's see. We've got to say this gently because your environment will always reflect your state of mind. It cannot reflect otherwise. You
Sure.
you cannot be you cannot experience what you are not the vibration of. You
But
cannot experience what you are not in harmony with.
but people who are actually living in poverty, would that apply to them? Because what they've grown up with, they will think and they become used to that way of thinking and being as well.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. That gives a whole meaning, really clear meaning. The Bible somewhere says something about the sins or the errors or the misunderstandings of the father are passed on to the children, right? So there is something about this thinking that is passed on, right? And passed on and passed on. But despite that, you are a free thinker.
Right.
Because that in a family of siblings, you have one who's
Mm.
a conformist and one who's a complete rebel, and nothing you can do about it because we are all free thinkers. You can be in a classroom with a teacher saying certain things, and 28 of the 30 students are all following along in harmony, and two of them are opposed and two of them are not. they're
Yeah.
they're just not in harmony with. So we are all.
Like outliers.
Yeah.
So you can open your mind to possibilities, even with the worst conditions and circumstances. It's just about how you challenge yourself to think and rise beyond your circumstances and get in tune with that, you know, divine energy out there, which takes so much of work, I'm assuming.
Yes. So let's ask your question's a tough question. Let's look at it.
Yeah.
So you get in survival mode in the middle of war, in the middle, like anything,
Hmm.
right? Like, what do you mean? How are they supposed to, right? And the thing is that, again, this is why it's so important. If you knew who you really are, your true nature and the nature of reality, you would fear nothing, right? You would you are every one of us, right? You are God with the possibility of expressing and bringing into any circumstance or condition um, the fullness of who you are. These circumstances don't matter. You matter. The situation you're in does
Mm.
not matter. You matter. And
Sure.
and who are you being in this environment? This environment cannot ever affect or hamper who you are being. The universe always supports. The universe always supports you in being fully who you are. In every circumstance and condition, you have everything you need to be who you are. in every circumstance and condition. So if we plucked you out from where you are, dropped you into a war zone with nothing, in those conditions, the universe supplies everything you need to be who you are. And so the question is, so under these conditions, will you be who you are?
Viktor Frankl, right?
Viktor Frankl's a great example. He's the one who
Just another.
showed us, right? And many others, by the way. I'm listening to
Mm-hmm.
another book from an Auschwitz survivor. So there were many of them in this horrible atrocity that really showed us that it's these things do not hamper a human spirit. They
I love that.
we are still able to be fully who we are under any condition. So you can do it in a really boring job too. They did it in Auschwitz. You could do this in a really boring job, right?
That is such a powerful reminder, because even now in this modern day context, we are so lost and distracted with like noise and just everything, just so much of like, just rubbish that we're surrounded with. And like, how do we go about understanding who we truly are?
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters in the end. There's that line, that thing that's always said is know thyself.
Yes.
Know thyself. We've all heard that. Well, I'm really starting to see that, Sydney Banks said this thing. He said, he talked about there's free will and you all have free will and all that stuff. And then he said, just to confuse us, the paradox, he goes, each of us are gifted free will, all that stuff. And then he says, and there is really only one will, and that is the will of God. I'm like, come on. What are you saying? Right? It's confusing, right? But that one just got like, what's he saying? Do we have free will or don't we have free will? Right? Like, so, and it comes out of this thing, know thyself. Know thyself. So you could say that there's only one force, one will, a single desire in the universe. And that is for the all to know and experience itself in all the ways that it can, in infinite ways. So you could say that there is a single desire, a single drive, a single will of the universe. And that is for all that is to know itself. That's all that's going on. And it can only know itself in the infinite ways that it can. So it knows itself as you, and it knows and experiences itself through you as you relative to all other aspects of itself. So in a way you could say this is the only desire you ever feel. But what we do is misconstrue or misunderstand this desire. I laugh about this all the time. I'm like, I have this sense that there's like more to me. I have this sense that this isn't all I am.
Your potential, whatever.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, so I can feel it, right? And then I kind of go, but you know what? I need money. What do you need money for? Well, because if I had money, then I could be more of myself. What? well, because no, I need to, because right now this really isn't me. But if I had money, then I would like travel. I'd be more adventurous. I'd take more risks. I'd be doing all that.
Such a relevant example. I love that. Yes.
Do you see this? So everything I want. Oh, you know what? No. If I was in a relationship, then I'd be me, right? Like this isn't me right now. But if I was in a relationship, that's me. Then I could be more of myself, more of who I. So every single desire you have. Well, if I was promoted, if I was in a different job, if I had a bigger house, right? So everything is like, then I could be more me. So it's really, you are driven to know yourself more than who you are right now, more than you know yourself now. So there's a drive to know yourself more deeply. And the misunderstanding is thinking that you need something in order to know yourself. Whereas the truth of the way it works is, as you discover more of who you are, it expresses into relationships and business and careers and all of that. It only works that direction.
So let's remove the conditions, the silly stuff we keep putting in our way. Like, if we are free of those, how do we know we are finding more of ourselves? Like, what is the process? What does that look like?
Right. And you are, so this is where the feeling is what's telling you. The feeling is what's guiding. You are, you can feel in alignment with all that you are. You feel it because it feels like joy. It feels like love. It feels like certainty, like clarity, like confidence, right? And when you have that alignment and open, then it moves you, right? Then it moves you. Then you are writing poems and singing songs and creating dance and like you building businesses and, like that. So, and through that, you come to experience and know more of yourself through that expression, right? And there's no end to it.
So I'm hearing two things in what you said. One is allowing and accepting what is, not resisting reality. And yeah, expressing yourself, your talents through that space. First, you accept what is, I think, if I got it.
Yeah. That's so good because how in your non-acceptance of what is, you're not here now. You're not present. You're not here now.
Yeah. You're resisting reality. Exactly.
You are resisting this present moment as it is.
Because you hate it. You don't like it. What do you do then?
You don't like it. And like you're resisting this present moment as it is. But you are in this present moment as it is. And it is in this present moment as it is that the opportunity to be who you are is available to you. Not next week.
My God, this needs to be a quote of yours. Trademark this. Not even joking.
Now is when it's available, not next
Amazing.
week. You cannot act next week. Only now is there that possibility.
So just picking up from this point, what would you say to someone who is feeling lost in life and needs to reignite their passions again?
Great.
Same thing?
Okay, so here's the good news about this. Because they are lived and breathed by this spirit and energy, their soul, and their soul never leaves them, right? Because of that, they are never so lost that they're actually unable to find this. You can't be, right? Because every morning you're waking up and this is the energy that's breathing you, living you, circulating your blood, the whole bit. So this energy is in you and so your soul is always focused on you. So you are never so lost that you couldn't find this. But how do you find this? The reason you're lost is because you're lost in thought. So the reason you're lost is lost in thought. Right. So really, there is nothing wrong in this moment. Yes, there is. There's lots that's wrong in this moment. Right. Let me tell you a few things. And there I go insisting on this thought and this thought and this thought, all of which are not divine thoughts, right? Our world is a terrible world and we're doing terrible things to it. And there's a lot of hateful people and we can't ever, be happy till we lost in thought, right? So you could be in a terrible place, but so how do you find your way back is like, so first of all, it's not in this because this churning is noise. The minute this subsides or goes quiet, what's left is truth. What's left is that soul energy, that spirit energy. So it's always available to you when the churning stops, right? When the disturbance stops, this is where you land. And you will always find glimpses of this in your life. So, but I don't have anything and I'm, and then it's like, yeah, you know what? That's true. You don't have as much as others and we don't have as, but what do you have? What do you have? What is available to you? So if you were to look to what you have, now suddenly the vibration changes. So I was focused on what I don't have, but I have something. If you shift into what you do have, the vibration now changes to what I have. Well, but I do have good friends. Well, that's good, isn't it? Yeah, but that doesn't get me any money to be able to. So, see how hard it is, right? But it's okay. But if you could calm down a little bit, you do have good friends, but that's good support. So you do have some support. Others, but others have way more support. I know, but relax, just slow down here. So if you just can start with that, then this is where law of attraction will make it more and more and more and more.
My God, wow. I think it really does come down to hacking your vibrational state, isn't it? Like your mind and your vibrational state. It's just a game of life, from what I'm hearing you say in this conversation.
Yeah.
And then that brings you to life. It makes you feel more alive to do things, to express yourself. But it starts there.
Yes. It is. You could say it like this. You could say your soul came alive through you to have a blast. At the end of the day, what are you doing anyway? If you earn money, you leave it here. If you buy a house, you leave it behind, right? So what's the point of any of this, right? So your soul came alive through you to have a blast. The purpose of life is joy. The purpose of life is just the joy of being the creator. That is who you are. Your soul came for that, right? And so if you would line up with your soul, you cannot have a more joyful, blissful, loving, peaceful life than that. If you could just line up with that. Because once you line up with that, there would be no resistance to what your soul would come alive and create and experience. And
I love that. That's insane, honestly. There's something I've been mulling over in the last few days, and I have some clarity through this conversation. Thank you to you. But I want to get your views on this. What do you think drives fulfillment for us humans?
Yeah. It's so fulfillment is the sense of wholeness, sense of I am whole and complete. I am who I am. And so that's why I'm unfulfilled, because I'm not in relationship. I'm unfulfilled because I don't have the career that would fulfill me. Do you see the backwards?
Yeah.
If I were fulfilled, my career would reflect fulfillment. If I were fulfilled, I may or may not be in a relationship, whatever expresses a fulfillment of me.
Because we've been conditioned to think that achieving tangible things will create fulfillment, but that's far from reality. I think it's more to do with how we express ourselves through our journey on this planet and
Well said. Well said.
challenging ourselves, like challenging ourselves through situations. I think that's what really gives us some sense of purpose, I think.
Well, so the fulfillment is yeah. So I don't need to achieve anything to become who I am. I don't need to have anything or do anything to be who I am. In being who I am, I would do and have all things that express who I am, that the being of who I am. The fulfillment comes in the expression of it. It's me being and expressing it. That's a circle. That's like the cycle fulfilling, right? So and so then this thing about, we could say that satisfaction, contentment, comes from one thing and one thing only, and that is feeling, knowing, discerning a desire within you, and then moving in the direction of that desire. You will never be satisfied. You can never be content without the feeling of desire within you and your movement in the direction of that desire. That desire within you is your soul. That desire within you is your soul wanting life, wanting expression of itself. And when you move in the direction of it, that means you allow that movement. It's moving you. It breathes you, number one. It would move your arms and legs. It would speak through you.
It propels you.
Right? When you allow it, you are allowing movement in that direction. Without that, you will never be satisfied. You will never be fulfilled. Because without that, what you're doing is you're saying, look, I've got it from here. Okay? Thank you very much. I'm alive. I'm here now. You've done your part. I can handle it. Now I will go create the kind of life that is going to be a satisfying life. And your soul is basically like, but I'm an infinite intelligence, all-knowing intelligence. Your puny little mind with your personal little thinking. How do you know any of that? Like, we gotta, like, it's a harmony is the thing, right?
So desire is extremely key for having us work towards that fulfillment. And do you think it's possible to create that desire in the first place for someone who doesn't?
Well, there's no need to create the desire. Desire is a constant of the universe, or you wouldn't live, right? So
Love that.
without desire, there is no life. There is no life without desire. The only reason you are alive is desire. If your soul does not need to come alive as you here, it desires it.
True.
It didn't need you to come here, run a career, earn some money because it was, trying to create more of a retirement fund. Your soul doesn't need any of this. So the only reason is the desire for expressing itself, to be itself, and to know itself through you.
Wow. Thank you for such an enlightening conversation. I've learned so much in the last 1 hour with you, like just mind blown. Thank you for your time and being here, Dominic. You're amazing in all that you are. And what comes to mind when you hear the word epic being?
An epic being is this will sound bad. So an epic being is a normal, ordinary human being, and they are living normal. That's what normal is. When you're not an epic being, there is something really abnormal going on. There is some kind of twisted thing happening, and you're twisting yourself into some kind of a knot, and it's all your personal thinking and all of that kind of stuff, and you are making yourself small, right? So an epic being is a normal, ordinary human being. when
Very cool.
yeah.
Very interesting twist. Haven't heard that one before. And where would you like people to explore more of your work and perhaps even work with you and
Yeah.
find out more about you?
I created a website so that it'll be sort of a central point. So if you go to my name, dominicscaffidi.com, it will then show you a YouTube channel and a Facebook page and these different things. And there are so many free resources on my website. So various webinars and talks that I've done.
I've seen. They look amazing. Yeah.
They're available all there. And so that's all available. And then I do talk about like some, I do some group programs, and I do some private coaching and stuff. And so you'll see the links there. And if you happen to be a corporate or organizational person, you'll see a link to my corporate website. And that's kind of a lot of work that I do as well. So.
Sounds amazing. Thank you for being here today and sharing some of your epicness with us.
Thank you for this invite, Sakun. And your questions were amazing. As you could tell, I had a lot of fun exploring what you were asking about. I really enjoyed this a lot.
Appreciate that.